Hi there, everyone. Jeff C. here. It is Friday, January the 24th, and we've talked about it on this show before a few times. I actually have this, what is the Illuminati Game of Conspiracy. I've never played it, but I wanted to have it to really take a good look and analyze it. And one of the things, of course, that people who do start to look at the Illuminati cards will see some very eerie sort of similarities between events that have happened. Of course, the most famous being 9/11, where you had in the Illuminati card set the images of the Twin Towers, which really can't be mistaken for anything else here, and the Pentagon being attacked. So, after seeing that, I mean, we even talked about it with Boston, the green jogger. That video got a ton of views, and it wasn't really meant to be taken too seriously. It was more like, hey, just being speculative. This is kind of fun, isn't it, to talk about this? But this is the card that right now people are going on about. And, combined disasters. Is there going to be some sort of major attack at the Sochi Olympics? And this card has been analyzed before, and people thought in the past, this is the Waco Tower in Tokyo. So I think back when something was going on in 2011 in Japan, a lot of people were saying that this tower looks almost identical to the tower here. But the thing now, of course, is the Sochi Tower, which is right here. And it it does indeed. In fact, I'll show you this one here. If this is the best I can get, where I try to get the whole image on here. A lot of people, when the London Olympics happened, were showing this card, saying that it looks a lot like Big Ben. I don't think it looks anything like Big Ben, really, other than it has a clock in it. But the tower certainly does look very, very similar to the Tower of Sochi, right? And we would have to kind of be careful here and keep an eye out, because this is actually the train station of Sochi, downtown sort of thing. So this is where massive congregations would be happening. So could this be a potential target, especially in light of the recent terror attacks that have happened in Russia? The bombing at Volgograd or whatever, and the bus bombing that happened just recently as well. I didn't really look into those too much because we've got enough false flags here in America. But indeed, this is the latest one. So people are saying, could it be Sochi that this massive attack will happen? And so I went and looked. I'm trying to figure out when exactly the bids for the Winter Olympics. I think it's kind of important when you're doing this, is to look when these bids were coming, and then of course when the cards came out. I believe the card set came out in the early 90s, and the bid for the 2014 the executive ballot took place on July 4th, 2007 in Guatemala City during the 119th IOC session. And if you look at the results here, you can see that Pyeongchang, which is in South Korea, actually won the first round. Salzburg came in third. Sochi was in second. And then in the second round, Sochi actually won. So may not be all that important. It's something to consider. I mean, it's certainly possible that for a long time that they were perhaps planning some sort of attack to occur. Perhaps even at Sochi. Who knows? The only thing is then we'd have to ask ourselves: are the Russians in on it? Could it possibly be their attack that is used? I mean, it could possibly be that the Russians are making deals with the Western Alliance to kind of say, well, we're going to have our terrorists and you're going to have yours. And we won't say anything too bad about your terror things, although RT does seem to pick up on some of the false flags. They did a Truth Seeker segment on the Boston bombing, saying that they believe that the Boston bombing was a hoax, which indeed it was. So the Boston bombing, just to look back, I'll just put it in here. The one that we had discussed that generated a ton of interest was the Joggers card here. It's not the best image. I always try and find a better one, but not always that clean or clear. Let's see here. The jogger. Anyways, the idea being that the woman who crossed the finish line right there, if you can make her out, tossed some sort of device, it looked like, right after the detonation here at the old guy, the only guy that was who seemed to be affected by the pyrotechnics blast, because he actually fell over. Now, was it coordinated, and do they actually use these cards? Like, I've talked about Satanism before, and one of the things about Satanism is that they have to kind of show you what they're going to do. It gives them more power. It gives them more, it allows them to do these things. And they also like to put it in her face. So it's possible. I think it's possible. And I think then, like as I said, a lot of these other events, once a few of these cards appear and people see stuff like this, then they start looking everywhere, right? So as I said with the London, I didn't even cover this, but I remember this. They were saying, wow, that could be Big Ben. And of course, you can't blame people for thinking so when they see that, right? I mean, they say, well, that's there. That happened. You can say even the Boston thing might have happened. So then that's where my sort of conundrum comes, because then is Russia part of this? Or is, how is it engineered that Sochi was seen so far in advance as possibly hosting the Olympics? I mean, was it an obvious site for the Olympics? I don't think so. I mean, from what I know about Sochi, it's not a very populated area, and it's kind of far away from a lot of, it's on the Black Sea, right? It's very close. So I don't know. I really don't know. I just thought I should touch on it, and I'd like to hear your opinions. If I can show you one more time here. This is the card. And the writing on the card says, you may combine two disasters on the same place as long as both are eligible to be used on it. Play both the disaster cards as well. Pick one disaster to be the main one and follow all the instructions on the card. Add the power, but none of the other effects of the other disaster. That's just kind of the instructions for the game. But even in the instructions, you see, as they said with the jogger one, that just the sort of powers that are unleashed by using it. So this is strictly conspiracy stuff, and I would take all that seriously. But of course, if something does happen at Sochi, and especially at that train station, well, then we're going to know for sure that these guys aren't fucking around with us with these cards. And then people are going to go apeshit with these cards. And can you really blame them? I mean, when you see this, certainly made me buy the box, the card set. Anyways, leave your comments below. I wish you all the best.